Hello and welcome to the Melanated Veteran Podcast. I'm your host, Miss Mesha. And before we begin, the first order of business is to share, like, and subscribe to the Melanated Veteran on Facebook and Instagram. We're also on almost all major platforms: iTunes, Google Play, iHeart, Stitcher, and many more. Please check us out at our website at www.themelanatedveteran.com. So my guest today is an amazing woman who I met um, doing a play called The Vagina Monologue. We were the first veteran, all military cast. And when I met her, she was just about to be retiring. And so I knew that I needed to get her on here. She is the CEO of and founder of Power Forward Woman LLC and Star United Global Outreach. Please welcome Star Williams.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Like I said, I definitely was like, I have to have her on here. And I know you were actually working on the your Power Forward Woman since while we were doing the play.
Yes, I actually was. I was doing my preparation for transitioning from one career to the next.
Okay. So I'm excited we're gonna get to talk about that today. So let's go ahead and get started. So how long were you in and what branch?
I know people always laugh when I say this, but I was in 20 years and 25 days. And I was in the Navy.
Okay. So yeah, Navy.
Oh, yeah, Navy.
Yeah, it's funny because my dad does the same thing. Like he'll be like, I was in 24 years, 6 months, and 20 something days. So he's like to the
Yes, if I
exact.
could have calculated the minutes, I probably would have. But yes, 20 years and 25 days to the T.
That is awesome. So, what made you decide to go into the military?
Oh, we could do this all day. A number of things, but primarily just being a teenager looking for change from my surroundings and what I was in wasn't the best situation, and definitely wanted to do something positive with my life. So the military was the second best thing. For me at the time. Now it's my first best thing. But just again, being a teenager, wanted something different. I did not prepare for college. Came from a background where you didn't see a lot of colleges on campus, so it just wasn't a choice for me at that time. So just looking for change and
Okay.
direction. Really looking for that direction.
Okay. I definitely understand that. Being, a teenager, what was your thoughts like when you got into boot camp?
Well, I was very bullheaded, stubborn, all of those things. I'm sure teenagers go through. But when I got to boot camp, we were one of the first female. What do we call them then? Not groups. But we were the first females to integrate with males in boot camp. So just to see other young women that looked like me, that were from different parts of the world, but we all thought differently. So I thought that it was, an easy thing, like, hey, we can do this, we can get through it. But it was kind of a shocker, number one, to be away from home for the first time, but also just a surprise that it was a lot easier than I had put in my head. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it does.
So it was, definitely, it was a shocker. Like, hey, I'm here. I'm actually doing this. But on the other hand, it was like all of these things that I put in my head on how hard it was going to be, and failure. Of course, because for me at that time, I had surrounded myself around people who were not as positive, just about life. So I was coming into it with, okay, this is going to be hard. You're going to fail. your attitude is going to get the best of you. All of these things that I allowed, my peers at the time to put into my head. But once I got there, it was kind of a laughable moment. Like, is this all you have, boot camp? Is this it? So it was just a funny thing that I just knew it was going to be like the movies and challenging. So don't get me wrong, definitely challenging. So it wasn't easy to get through, but the mental weight I put into my head before I got there, that was the kind of the laughable moment.
No, I definitely understand. There were some points I was like, okay, I don't know if I can get through this. Okay, I got through it. Okay, that wasn't too. Okay, that wasn't too bad.
Exactly. That wasn't too bad. Now, I have to throw this in there. That whole gas chamber thing, I was like, yep, this isn't for me. You can send me home. I'm not going to do it. But like everyone else, I got through it. But that was, for me, the most challenging thing. Like, you really want me to do this? Is this real? This is torture. But yeah, that was like the hardest thing personally for me.
Gotcha. I definitely understand that. So you get out of boot camp, you go to your command, you start your actual career. So tell me some of the highs and lows of while being in.
Oh, so my biggest high, I could not imagine. I was 16 when I graduated early from high school. As soon as I turned 17, joined the military, went to the whole boot camp deal. And to stand in the room with a select group of women to say, you all are going to Italy, this is where you got to be stationed. So that was my complete high, is to know that as a 17-year-old, I'm going to be living in a country that I just read about in the history book. So to live there for 4 years, to turn 21 in Europe was just amazing.
Hey.
To me. So we can definitely talk lows, just part of what I do as my business. I always wanted to focus on the positive things, because anything that was negative could always be changed into a positive type of affirmation or thought. So being away from my family, I was the oldest of three, so to leave my siblings behind, that was pretty hard for me. But to be able to turn that into something that they could look at me and see that I was changing for the better, I was doing something for the family, and of course sending great gifts home. They were like, yeah, enjoy yourself. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. But the first few years, it was really a struggle being the head, kind of like the head of my family, coming from a single parent home. Me and my mom were like best friends. So for me to leave, in a sense, in their mind at the time, to leave them, that was really, really challenging for me. So that was a low for me. And it didn't even have to do with the military, just family, leaving my family behind.
Right. I love how you say, you can always change those lows into the highs. I love how you, how you mentioned that. That's, to me, is awesome. I know when I first met you, you could tell that you were one that was like, okay, we're gonna do this. Let's get it done. Afterwards, we can celebrate. We can have fun. We can do this. But you could tell that the presence about you, that you were, for one, you were about your business, and for two, it was like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this right. And I'm going to do this the way that, I feel comfortable doing. And that I appreciated, like when I met you.
Thank you. Do you remember, I have to jump in, you remember how much pushback we got for doing something that was really a good thing, but because others didn't quite understand what we were doing as service women, how much pushback we got. So I think that's why I was so strong in saying, you know what, no matter what the outside people are saying, wearing a uniform, it's so uniform, like you should be doing something this one way. And if you do something outside, you color outside the lines. Okay, what's wrong with you, lady? So it was just something that I thought that was so important, just to keep because I think we all pushed each other, but just to keep pushing and saying, no matter what the outsiders are saying, this is something positive. This is something that's going to change the lives of so many women looking at us saying, oh, they're normal people. They have normal thoughts.
Right.
They understand the challenges of what other women are going through. So I'm so happy that you mentioned that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, and I was nervous about doing, like, I was really nervous because I was kind of like, well, I don't know what other everybody people were going to say. Like, but then, like, when reading the whole thing, it was like, okay, it's so much bigger than us. Like,
Exactly.
it's way much bigger than us. And so, I was thankful to do it and to meet you guys. And it's crazy. It was what, 2014, and we still talk to this day. Like, we still check up and say, hey, what's going on? We see you. So, yeah, I love it. So, when I met you, you were actually getting out. What made you decide, like, look, this is it. I'm ready to get out. I'm ready to start my next venture.
Glad you asked that question. A lot of times we go into things, and of course the military, really not having a full-fledged plan, because some of us are getting out of situations, in situations, whatever the case may be. We had our own particular reason in joining. So I literally went in with a 20-year plan. I don't know like where that came from. I just knew this is what I was going to do, and this is how I wanted to do it. So I have always been goal driven, whether I'm doing something good or bad. Being a teenager, I made some mistakes, but I would always dig myself out of that. So going into the military at 17, I knew that this is something I wanted to make a career. Good, bad, or indifferent. I was going to tough it out, and this is what I really, really wanted to do. I can't really explain it any more than that. I just had that mindset that no matter what, this is what I wanted to do. Going back to, my siblings, saying, I wanted to do something positive for them. I wanted to change my outlook. I wanted to change my situation. I wanted people to, say things like, I remember when, but look at me now, type thing. I had a lot to do. I owed myself a lot. So, yeah, it's just, I thought about it, kind of stuck to it. And literally at this second, this is my old age. I said, what was the question? Because I get excited when I talk about goals and really get into something. I know, laughing. I was like, what is the question?
I get it. Like, oh, no, I get it. I get it. When you were talking about, you said that was your goal, your 20-year. Like you said, you're going to be a lifer. I'm going to do 20 years. That is, to me, is awesome that you were like, you said no matter what's going on, that's what I'm going to do. Like 20 years.
Yeah, no matter what, even when September 11th hit, your mom is always going to be your mom. She was like, yep, tell your boss they're coming home. I'm like, no, I can't. It just doesn't work like that. So I really, a week after September 11th, because I knew I had a mindset that this is what I signed up for. Again, good, bad, and different. This is what I signed up for. I have a plan. I have a goal. And this is what I wanted to achieve. I could have done 30, but 20 was it for me. I knew that I accomplished. I set all of my marks, whether it was, not even knowing I was going to do the play. But once I signed up for the play, I got to keep moving forward. I have to do that. Once I got to, my 15th year, okay, get this degree. So everything I kind of wrote down, kind of writing the vision, making it plain, definitely in this short interview. Not going to make it sound like it was easy, like boom, wrote it down. It happened. So many struggles along the way. But I set those goals, and I said, at this point, God, no matter where I am, this is what I said I was going to do in 20 years. I want to hang up my hat and go back to my family. So that was just it for me. So once I got to that 20, you've been there. They try to, as I say, coerce you, but talk you into, hey, you should stay. The military needs something. No, this is what I said in 1995. Once I got to this point, in 20 years, you guys can have, those bonus days, but that's it for me. And those bonus days were the 25 days just to get to, that retirement check.
Right.
But I had it set in my mind that this is it, 20 years.
Ooh, those are some gems right there. Oh, I like. Ooh, I hope people are literally listening to this, because no, it is. It's, you got to you have to have the goals. You have to, it's important. Like,
Very. Because if you don't, someone will change your mind. All of the things that I was getting promised, you know how you say, oh, where were these promises, 2-3 years ago? But now that I'm leaving, it's like a relationship. Now that I'm leaving, you want to guarantee this, you want to do that. And, it's a job. It's just like, and that's what, when I used to recruit, I used to tell my sailors coming in, I can tell you all the negative things, but for me, it's the positive that gets me through. So they started making all of these promises, and I said, yeah, it sounds good, but I already know what I want to do.
Right.
So it's all about direction. And I try to push my young sailors with, what do you want? Not what you want me to tell you. What is it that you want, so that I can guide you into that direction? It's going to be bumps and bruises along the way, but if you know exactly what you want and how you want it, you'll be willing to go through that fire and then come out polished on the other end. And then you look back and say, yep, got burned, got bruised, got a few scars. But when I look back, I'm all better for it.
Ooh. Oh, those are some gems. Oh, my goodness. Oh, and see, this is why I wanted you on here, because I know how passionate that you are, and how amazing that you are.
I really do. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I definitely do.
So
it took a lot of tough losses along the way, but it just made me better. It made me continue to stand on, firm ground and say, this is why I do what I do. And not to take in, you being in the military as well, things that you've missed, and you can easily say, oh, it was because my boss or my chief or my captain or whatever didn't allow me to do that. But sometimes they're just the word I want to use. They're just there in order for you to get to your destiny. Whether it's the positive or the negative side, it's how you handle every situation, in those tough losses, in those wins, in those successes, in those failures. So they're just there. They're not the person who makes or breaks you. And I used to have to always tell my chain of command, and they would always look at me like, yeah, you're different. And I would have some chiefs tell me, oh, you'll never make it to 20, because I had a mindset. Like, well, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I have a plan for. And no matter what you have said, it's not going to deviate. It may be a roadblock for this moment, but you're not going to deviate my plan. What I want for my life. Whether it's, and a lot of people say, oh, this is the captain you're talking to, or this is the chief. No, I know what's fit for me. I know how to do it in a respectable way, but I look at every human being as just that. If we can't have a conversation, no matter what and this is almost going into something different, but this may be for someone. You should always be able to talk to anyone, no matter who they are, in a respectable manner, and still be true to who you are. You don't have to deviate from who you are or your plan and what you have for your life to get to that next level. Continue to stand firm in who you are. It may take you another year, may take you 3 years, 5 years, or however long that may be. It took me 3 years beyond the point in me making the rank that I so deserved, but I wasn't going to change the person who I was. But I knew it was coming because I worked for it. Does you get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I just need people to understand, don't change who you are for the situation. Those people are, and roadblock is a strong word, but sometimes that's what they are. They're just simple. They're bumps in the road. They're roadblocks. They're there. They're figures. They're not anything that can make or break you if you already know who you are, where you're coming from, and where you're going. You have all of that set for yourself.
Yes. Oh, goodness. Amen. Gems, gems, gems. Just, I love them. Oh, I love them. You have to be. And I always say that to people, too. Like, you can say what you want to say in a respectable way. Like,
That's it.
that's it. I mean, you don't have to you don't have to change, like you say, you don't have to change who you are. Just, do it your way, in a certain way. Um so so
Sorry.
you're good.
I'm a
So
bad mom.
so explain, like, how did you start your Power Forward Woman? I know you started that before you had gotten out. How did that become about?
I'm speaking to one of the people that helped me really, really push forward in that. And that's women just like you. Women who we just looked at each other as motivators, as encouragers, and being in the military, a lot of times we're only looked at as one thing. So the last couple of years, 3 to 5 years, I just kind of started talking to women, start really listening to their stories, and truly seeing, because it took that for me to say you're more than, an E1, E2. Whatever the titles is that the military gave me, I was so much more than that. So once I start surrounding myself around other powerful women, listening to their stories and saying, oh my God, we are amazing, fearless, confident, resilient, all of those things, I said, I have to tell these stories. So my business, Powerful Woman, just started out as women getting together, telling their stories, having someone come up and tell their story of survival, where they came from, whatever the case may be. And it was less about me. People would want me to come out and speak, and I said, it's not about me. It's about women who maybe had not had a voice in their home or at work or whatever the case may be, to tell their story of how they got to where they are, where they're going, or where they're just trying to morph into. So that's kind of where it started. Just like I said, just talking to women like yourself and being around other women and kind of taking the uniform off and saying, we're so much more than this uniform.
So
the
more.
Simple questions, where are you from? What are your passions? What are your dreams? What do you really want to do? Talking to that woman that may be in as we call it, a girly type role, maybe doing paperwork, but she wants to be a construction worker or a truck driver, just seeing us in so many different lights and being able for that woman to stand up and say, this is who you see, but this is really who I want to be. To encourage another woman to say, oh my God, I didn't know that someone else had those same thoughts or wanted to be in this particular career. I didn't know that I could do that. So it's really simple. Just, like I said, it started with just surrounding myself around other women that didn't fit that military identity, that either rank structure or work structure or whatever it may be. Even maybe we go to the same church or hang out in the same place. Just being in different places at different times and seeing different women, but we're all truly still the same. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It definitely does.
We're absolutely no different. Just because you want to be a construction worker or a police officer or whatever, you just want to travel the world or whatever it is that you want to be. When we sit down and share these stories, it's just amazing because you never know what that person's heart has been speaking until they're actually able to say it out of their mouth to fall into someone else's ears and continue to pay it forward.
Amen. I love that. And I love the fact that you're like, we are, even though we might be different in certain aspects, we are still the same. And it's like you said, like, don't put us in a box. Like, that's my thing, is don't say like, that's all I have to be is a secretary. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
I love that. So, you have this power forward. So you get out of the military, you retired, you have your Power Forward Woman LLC, and now you've got Star United Global Outreach. How did that start?
Now, this is my true baby. I love Powerful Woman, but with my nonprofit organization, working with at-risk youth,
Mm.
Now, this is going to probably be a little wordy because I really want people to get this.
Mm.
So, our at-risk youth is me. That was me once upon a time. That could have been you once upon a time. But that label, you hear me talk about labels. Don't put me in a box.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to work with kids that look just like me, that talk just like me. I suffer from dyslexia. I dropped out of school. I mean, I can go on and on and on. But to get to this point, it took people. It took adults, when I was a kid, to say, no, you're not at risk. You're at promise. You've just been put into a box, and people don't understand your destiny, where you're going. So I wanted to continue to be that person that can put myself right back in their shoes and say, I was there. So basically doing the same thing I do for adults, of being very, very sensitive with the child, because they're going to be these adults that we're talking about. So if we can mold them, if we can teach them, if we can hold them by the hand and not say things like, I had to get out of the mud, so you do too. No, I want to be the one to have gone through the mud, gone through the trenches, so that you don't have to, so that you can become easily polished. Not saying I want to make it easy for the child, but why not? Why not give that child every piece of equipment, everything out of my sea bag? I want to be able to give it to them. So once I give it to you, it's up to you on what you do with it. But to give them all of those tools and resources and training and education and all of those things that I did not have. Because I meet so many people that say, oh, they're going to have to learn the hard way. Or no one taught me that, so they're going to have to. No, why do we want to do that to our children? So that's why I'm so passionate about my youth organization. We talk about investments. We talk about all of these different things that we weren't taught. I know I was not taught. So I don't want to speak for everyone, but I wasn't taught about real estate at a young age. I wasn't taught about what's a portfolio, stocks and bonds and savings accounts and checking. I didn't learn these things until I joined the military. So this is why it's so important for us to truly, it's so cliche, but train up a child. And training up a child is not allowing them to suffer or go through it the hard way. It's giving them everything that you've learned along the way, so that they can take that and make it their own. So
I love that. That right there is because that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast or my website, is because a lot of us, there's stuff that we weren't taught, like getting out of the military. There are certain things that it gets overwhelming. And so it's like, make sure that you have some kind of like a certain base to, okay, this is what I learned. This is what these people taught me. So I'm teaching you this, and you can run with it how you want to. I love that you're doing that, especially for the youth, and especially now, like the children growing up now. It's so important to mold them. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing. So one question, I don't know if I even put it on the thing. So starting your business, what are some things that you kind of wish someone would have told you about going ahead and starting your business?
I'm going to make this easy. Everything. You know why? You pretty much just said it. Being in the military, we're already programmed to get out, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting out and, all of those things they teach you about going, to contract or work for the government or whatever. It's so cookie cutter. This is a one-way street. What about all those creatives, all those people who are thinking differently, but they don't know exactly where to go? So I just wish that someone would have really just started the conversation. I had to do a lot of digging, a lot of research, so the conversation was not even started to kind of turn on that light bulb in my head to even ask those kind of repeat questions or for feedback or input or things like that. So I know that's very broad, but when I say everything, starting that conversation so that I can ask those follow-up questions, those open-ended questions instead of just those yes and or no. Like, well, can I start a business? Yes or no. Well, what does that mean? So
Right.
it's really everything, because being a business owner, oh my God, it grows legs. And I've been doing this. I started a year prior to retirement, so 2004. I've been doing this since 2014, and I'm still learning every day. And what I'm learning, switching back to my Power Forward Woman business, that grew legs and transitioned from not only are we doing motivational speaking and empowerment speaking, now I want to teach women how to start a business, because I don't want you to go through the same things that I went through. I want to share the resources. I want to be, I'm in a good position where, yes, I'm in business and, I want to make money, but I also want to be a help to that person that may not can afford my services. So let's say Mesha comes through my training. She learns how to start her business, publish her book, whatever it is that you want to do. Now that sister that's struggling, you can give her those same tools and resources that I gave you. Because you're in a position to pay for those services, but she may not. So everything you learn from me, you're paying it forward. So that's my whole idea in everything that I do. So from the adult to the child, whatever it is that you learn, give it to somebody else. For that child that can't come to my training, and they have a little sister or a cousin or someone that's not on a bus line or whatever, they just can't get there. Now they're hanging out, and they're going to teach them. They're going to share that workbook. They're going to share that video. They're going to share something about what, not STAR, because I put myself last, what the organization, what STARS United Global Outreach has taught them, what Power for a Woman has taught them, because it's not just me. I have so many amazing people in my life that's sharing stories, that's teaching these kids. I definitely take zero credit for any of my accomplishments, because it's really not about me. I'm just a tool. That was a simple word I was looking for earlier. I'm just a tool. I am. I just feel like that. I'm just here at the right place at the right time to kind of pull everything together.
That is awesome. And just everything, you're amazing. And I love it because, I feel the same way for me. Like, this isn't about me. It's about everyone saying what they went through and what it taught them, what helped them. And the fact that, giving credit to the people that are there to help you, because we couldn't have done this on our own.
Absolutely not.
You couldn't have.
Absolutely
right.
Not.
And the fact that you said like just everything, like, you would have wanted to know everything.
I think that's what's the issue with our society. We put limits on things. Like, okay, she wants to start a business, so I'm going to give her this basic information. No, give me everything, so that when I'm like, whoa, that's too much, can we stop there? Allow me to tell you when I've met my threshold. And that's the same thing I try to do for my kids. I will never cookie cut. If we're talking about 401k, sure, they're not going to be getting a 401k probably for 10 or 15 years, but I will never say, oh, you guys aren't going to understand this, so we're just going to gloss over. You see where I'm going with
right.
that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Allow me to pick and choose what's too much for me, or what maybe I need another session on you to explain, but don't say that I may not be in this position. I'm trying to put myself in that position.
Right.
So give me everything you got.
Right. And if you don't have that, then you wouldn't know what the questions to ask. So it's like, just give me what you can, so then I can be like, okay, well, I really didn't understand this. I really didn't get that. So
exactly.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So before we wrap up, tell everybody where they can find you, all the ways that they can find you.
All righty, here we go. So, Power Forward Woman, just like the Power Forward you find in basketball. Woman, WOMAN, and not EN, because although we are women, we're really one. So that's why I called it Power Forward Woman. So you can find me on LinkedIn just by searching Power Forward Woman. You can find me on Facebook, Power Forward Woman, and Twitter. I had to think. See, I'm older. I don't call myself old. I'm older, so I have to remember all of these social media handles. So Power Forward, just like the sport or the position, Woman, WOMAN, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Same with the website, powerforwardwoman.com.
Okay.
If you want to see my funny side, I have a personal page. Anyone, I definitely share tips and things like that. You can find me, Star Williams, on Facebook as well.
Okay.
For Stars United Global Outreach, that's Stars with an S, STARS. So although it's long, I learned this the hard way. Starting my business, I could have shortened that. See, that's what I mean by everything. Someone could have taught me this, but it's still Stars United Global Outreach on all of the social media platforms. So Twitter, Facebook, IG, and LinkedIn. So Stars United Global Outreach, and on Twitter and IG, it's the smart version, Stars You Go. STARSUGO. So that's Stars, then the UGO is for United Global Outreach. So I had a branding person tell me how to shorten that and make it easier for people to find me. So Stars United Global Outreach on Facebook and LinkedIn, and then Stars You Go on Twitter and IG.
All right.
I think I got everything. Stars United Global Outreach. I know I'm working. That's why I have some amazing people around me that's still teaching me these new things about branding and social media and presence and all that good stuff. So thank you for asking that, because I surely would have forgotten.
That is okay. That is okay. So again, I want to thank you, Star, for doing this. It really means a lot to me. And I'm so excited to see how much more that you guys are going to be growing. You can find me at the Melanated Veteran on Facebook and IG, and don't forget my website, www.themelanatedveteran.com. I am your host, Miss Mesha, signing off, saying embrace what makes you you.